Hey guys, so I've been coming across a bunch of recommendations, a bunch of videos over this title, over this topic. You're homeless, those who are experiencing homelessness, and you're living out in the streets, and there's it's a broad word. I think people make a judgment too fast when it comes to this topic. You know, try not to judge too fast because at first, it's easy to do that. But when you're on the other end of it and you see your situation and how that happened, and you're not exactly in the category of all the negative things that people like to self-reflect that could cause homelessness. Yours is on some whole other. People wouldn't have dared to take a risk like that. You know, if something like that would have worked, it would have worked. You know, it would have been more on the positive sides of things. So it's how you look at it. It really comes down to it being a you know mistakes, setbacks, failures. Risks, choices. You know, space. That's what I mean by choices. Some people are willing to sacrifice having a house in order to have other tools that help with build, what they're trying to start right now. Um, that's where we're kind of coming from. It could be a burden. It could be a burden sometimes. Seeking help from others in order to reach, a comfortable place to just live. You're a simple person. I'm a simple person. Growing up, I could never really keep still, but I wasn't like a nuisance. Very quiet. I'm a very quiet. I'd be the best roommate ever. On a real note. Just very quiet. Um, but I like to do a lot of things. I can't stay indoors all the time. I gotta go run. I gotta go play basketball. I gotta go experience. I gotta go travel. This is a younger me. Obviously, when you're in a situation like this and you're speaking on, homelessness, it's a different story. You'd value, just a place to have a roof over your head and take a shower. That's all you want, and it's so tough out here right now to just find that. And how when you see the the chapters in your life that led you to where you're at. You you know don't don't look down on yourself because you took risks that were worth it. And not everything's gonna pan out the way you want. But yeah, growing up, I never really had a place to call home. After my dad passed away, family moved to Texas. And after my first year of college in the dorms, I knew I had to finish up my second year in community college. So this was the ending, period of being around family, and it was kind of scripted already. It was kind of set up because I wasn't a bad person. And during that time, I actually began smoking weed a little bit to calm me down, and it took away all that self-reflective stress that you had, with arguments, and my mom around that time was getting remarried, so I'd be our the altercations, before that stopped, you know. So even though I was, burning a little bit, or burning the tree a little bit, I wasn't doing nothing bad, and it made things better. On my part, it was more peaceful. And what I mean by scripted is like you think things would get better. Well, then why is it that you still see people trying to make you act out, aggravated, trying to make you, and this is what this all comes down to, guys. And if you're someone who can relate to my channel, you're someone who's got energy, and you'll see how people like to go out of their way to see what you're gonna do and do little things, and it's aggravating when you see people and their true colors. And you would think it has nothing to do with this topic, but it does. I was going to college full time, working during the night full time, and you got homework to do after work. You get off work at 7 a.m. and your classes, you're gonna, if you don't have classes today, you're gonna spend this time doing your homework. Well, when you get off work at 7 a.m., everyone else has work around that time, is leaving to their jobs. So one thing they like to do is turn the Wi-Fi off because some weird eccentric reason. I don't know why. I'm not going to go into detail. I spoke about it before. But basically, I got kicked out in the year 2015, 2016. It was 2016 because of Wi-Fi. And that is super aggravating to see, and it's going to spring into other things, you're going to get aggravated, and the cops were called, hey man, we can see you're not a bad kid, but they're still going to call the cops, and either, they don't want you here, so it's either our way or you're going to have to hit the highway. And I hit the highway, and luckily I had a good friend, and so I lived with this friend for 9 months, and it was the best time ever. 2017 was probably the least. It was a very stressful year, but I valued that year, and I had a good friend, and his family were very generous, and I'll never forget it. And took me in while I was going to college, working full time, and it was my choice. 9 months later, when I first moved in, to leave. And they never made me feel like a burden, but it was just time. I felt guilty. I personally felt guilty. I felt like I wasn't doing enough because I was living there rent free. Didn't pay no rent. I was going to college full time, working full time. Really best friends, really, but I just felt like I should have been offering them more because of what they did for me. So I left, homeless, had nowhere to live, and went to Denton. I was living near Keller, Fort Worth, moved up to Denton, and I was homeless for a month, Still working, so I'd use that money to shower, eat, and, I'd sleep in UNT. Like they had 3 stories in the library, so I'd sleep like in the bottom story. And I had to shower, after, it motivates you, when you don't have somewhere to actually call home. It motivates you, and then at the same time, it's really depressing, depending on how it made you, depending on how you ended up. You'll feel hopeless sometimes, But, me, I wanted that degree, and so that's what motivated me. But I met a good friend through work. I got lucky, who took me in, and I lived there in Denton for 5 years, and then had to get my surgery. After I got helicopter flighted, another spot. That's when I found another place to live after I had to move out, and that was all due to me speaking on the pandemic and a bunch of fishy stuff where I can't really say. But that is definitely, that's targeting, to try to put someone into a deep spot, into a dark spot, and try to make them give them their all to get out, and all this unnecessary shit that is being done to us, Americans and civilians in the U.S. There's people being targeted and put down all because they spoke about something, and that's ridiculous. And all their faults being used against them. Yet these same people participating in this, no one's ever, calling out all the stuff they do. The same things, the worst things, Especially, but what moved me to a different state was, not just meeting my other half, and thinking it was this chasing the fairyland thing. But no, it was the timing of it, and it was the right timing. It was the right timing for me to move out, to get away from Texas because of all the experiences and everything I had, and and all the people who participated in you know family didn't want me to get my surgery done, my jaw surgery. So it was real easy for me to leave. It's real easy for you to choose kind of being homeless over being around people who never really wanted best for you. That's how some people end up in this situation too. It's not, oh, he had an addiction. Oh, these are all things that is real easy for people to say, but the minute you start speaking some real true stuff, it's like all of a sudden they put tape over their ears. All of a sudden they don't want to hear it. When you kick some real things that are going on, all of a sudden people don't want to, all of a sudden they act like they got candle earwax in their ears, the minute you kick some real stuff. But the minute you're down, the minute you're in a tough spot, people can't wait to speak, bro. So, that's my take on homelessness. People would rather choose to spend their money on something to feel a certain way, or spend their money on something to build something, or, would rather be in a position of just feeling more freedom and peace instead of feeling, all this guilty, and people, there's some really nice people out there who will, take you in. You just got to be a good roommate. I'm a great roommate, but eventually I'm gonna have to find a place to live, because it's making me want to just do something. I gotta pump out more vids, or I gotta do something. Cost of living, especially if you don't have a secure job like that, it's pretty high. It's important to end the vid on this. People don't choose to be homeless. There's really people out here who are being set up, and they're having their lives staged, because it's real easy for someone to say, oh, you just need to get a job, or oh, you're doing this too much, or oh, you have an addiction. No, there's people who are really good at jobs, so good that their manager will cut their hours, will cut their days. You could get 2 jobs, and there's a lot of fishy stuff going on, guys. You got to take my word for it, especially over here. For us to be at this, at this angle, you could get 2 jobs, right? And if you're speaking on corruption, if you've been exposing, how targeting is really happening around the U.S., all over the world, not just the U.S., you can get 2 jobs. You can do whatever it is to try to bring yourself up. Let's say you get 2 jobs. And if you're someone who's really going through this, you're that powerful of a spirit to where you've really been going through the things we've been speaking on, they can make this other job all of a sudden have a shift to where it's synchronizing with your other job. And now you have to pick between one of the jobs. Now you can't have 2 of the jobs. And now you pick this job, and the minute you drop the other job, they drop your hours at this other job. And there's some really evil stuff that they're doing to people, and it's not right. So I wanted to end the vid here. We're not a lazy person. We're not choosing to work and stuff like that. But what we're trying to say is, when you have identification stolen, you don't have anywhere to live. In order to file for that, to get it back, now you got to go through loopholes. You had 2 jobs. They pair them up together with the hours to purposely make it so you can't bring in more money. Now you got to pick one job. You pick it, and now they drop your hours to the point where it's so disrespectful. You can't even really want to be around the people. You're disrespecting yourself being around people like that who do stuff like that to you. This is how we end up in situations like this. We got to find our way to dig ourselves out. We don't really know what to do, because these jobs are what support you. You were never against. You're not a lazy person. You're not against working a job. But it's what they do to you and what you saw that they were doing to you, and it's disrespectful. So I hope those of you who are not homeless, who are in a good position, can see where someone who's experiencing this is coming from. You're a very good worker, you're a hard worker, you'd work 2 jobs. They, for some reason, don't want you in the system, the matrix, the system. They want you to do it in another way. And we'll stop taking away the help. This is really aggravating, So, but anyway, I just wanted to focus this one on homelessness, For those of you who are going through it, stay strong. Stay strong and, do whatever you can to keep yourself safe. Especially if you're someone who doesn't have a vehicle. And keep putting your energy into something, start writing, start making more vids, keep working, because you just got to do something. You just got to do something. You can't just lay around. It's tough. It's tough, depending on how you got here, especially if you got here through something not working. And you took sacrifices, you took risks, and that's what ended you up in this situation. And now you can't fall back to previous things because you know what it's going to lead to, So someone will be there to help you. You'll come across the right person, you'll come across the right situations, and just stay positive. There's a little more I wanted to add it, but I think I'll just go ahead and end it there.